Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today I'm going to show how to change from just doing a job you don't really like to an adventure. Our job today is to mow the front yard weed patch. And so I want to talk about the mower here. This is something I inherited from my dad. And that's a top of the line Toro recycler. It's got a 6 3/4 horse Kohler engine on it. And it's got easy adjustment for the height. Belt drive is under here. It's got a washout port here. Easy access for the gas cap. Check your oil right here, your dipstick. So it all sounds great, except for grass gets under this thing and plugs it up all the time. You have to take it apart and clean it out. The wash port doesn't really work that good. And even though this is easy access to check your oil, even though this is a premium lawnmower, it doesn't even have a drain plug on the engine. So you have to get a suction gun here. Go down there and suck the oil out. But can you imagine on a premium engine like that, trying to cut 75 cents off the cost? And now Kohler engines have been sold and probably are going to go out of business. Like I say, it's a recycler mower. So here's your chute. This just lifts up and just put that under there, and it's all set to make it a non-recycler, but it just takes nothing to knock that thing off. So we have to get innovative. Mr. Obsolete has his factory non-approved opener here to recycler, so turn it into a non-recycler, so it's almost in line with the wheels. So you know, if you want to have more, you put it up high, and if you want less, you put it down. It's so much better than the factory. This costs 0 cents. So anyway, we'll show you how we're going to change this video into from a job to an adventure. Well, now you see it's an adventure. It's fun because you're running vintage equipment, 2-cycle engine, which is our favorite, Lawn Boys, which were a premium lawnmower forever. Must have been on the job for years and years. It's 1974. It's never needed any major repairs. It's 19-inch, non-self-propelled. I've done other videos on this in the past, so go back and watch our videos. You're going to get the full BS on them. But this thing has got 3-year-old gas in it and starts and runs great on it. My new mower there, the gas gets more than 6 or 8 months old and doesn't hardly want to run. So we'll be right back. Well, we got the lawn mowed, so now it's time for a little break so we can have some vintage homemade beef sticks and some root beer. Better check around, make sure the kids aren't around. I don't see them, but oh look, it's my favorite, Old Fart beer. Yeah. Well, for the second half of the video, it's going to be etc. because our last video, the header said, you know, I am a firewoodologist, talking about firewood and wood in general, a little bit about axes, a little bit about chainsaws. And at the end of the header it said etc. But it said we ran out of time. the video was getting too long, so we are back here with etc., just like we said. So what we're going to talk about first here is our mighty sort of fine Senix 4-stroke chainsaw. You know, we've got more time on it and learning some new things on it. And probably the most unusual thing that happened to it is that the oil that they send with this thing to break it in is really crap. And even about 3 hours in, it looked terrible. It was dirty. So I changed it out. I put in 30 weight with 10% STP. And I used STP in all my 4-strokes and have for years. It makes them last forever. And the thing that was interesting, what happened is that when I started it up with good oil in it, it ran about 300 RPM faster than it did with that crap oil they come with it. So I had to adjust the carburetor idle down. And it also quit burning oil, because the second thing in this that happened was that occasionally when I go to start it before, it would try to start and then it would flood. I thought it was flooding, and it may still have been flooding, but it got really hard to pull through because it had a lot of compression because of the extra fuel on the top of the piston and whatnot. Well, since I changed the oil and put a new spark plug in it, it's never done that. So that crappy original spark plug is another piece of crap. And so anyway, other things that are goofy on this thing, I talked about the chain. Now this chain is made in China. Well, it's really sloppy even though it's almost new. And it's Oregon. And it's 3/8 low profile anti-kickback chain. And the surprising thing is it cuts pretty good. And I've had other saws that I picked up over the years that had low pro and anti-kickback Oregon chain on it, and this actually cuts quite a bit better, so they figured out something on the profiles to make it more efficient. But one of the bad things on it, when I have it all put together, and the first thing I do when I go out to reuse this thing, you know, fill it up with fuel, check the oil levels, and just everything you can think of, adjust the chain. And it's happened to me about 3 times now. I'll go out and do some cutting, and you know, the chain will still be tight, but I'll set the chainsaw down and it'll be out in the sun. If I come back about 20 minutes or more later and I look down, the chain will be hanging off the bottom of the bar, so the sunlight heats up the chain enough to where it becomes loose. And if I adjust it and tighten it up, and then I run this off for a bit and then put it away and come back, it'll be so tight I can't hardly pull it through. So weird stuff. And one thing I ran into this little still tool here, and it's an interesting piece. I'm sure they made them for years, but I wasn't aware of them. But it's got a hook on the end, and so you use this to go down and pull all the debris out of the bar rail here. You can see it there. And then on the other end here, it's got a little bitty screwdriver tip, and it's really tiny. And so that's good, just I can go in and adjust. You can't adjust this carburetor because it's got those weird connectors on it, but my other chainsaws work just fine with it. But I found another really good use for this. One of the drawbacks on this saw here is that the fuel cap is really close to the body here, and when you run it, sawdust gets behind here, and as soon as you take the fuel cap off, it goes right into the tank. And you can't get a brush or anything back there, but this thing's got a little offset on it. I can go right behind it, scoop it all out. When I originally was going to go out in the woods and cut with this, you know, there was no real good way to get in here to get this sawdust out of here. So I was going to take a little can of compressed CO2, but that's just an extra thing to take. And so with this, a small piece of paper towel, hey Kelly, come through there and it's completely clean. And the thing that's amazing though, it's not just the fuel cap, it's the oil cap for the reservoir for the chain, and the oil cap for the engine. All three of them have a labyrinth in behind there so that the sawdust goes right in. So that's bad engineering, or lack of. I think they catch that stuff before they put products on the market, but oh well. Okay, well, we'll move on to some more junk here. Well, the next thing I want to talk about related to chainsaws is chainsaw bar oil. I tried the modern Husky steel oils and all those, and they're really thin, and they don't work very good in my old saws. They go through it really quickly, and they don't seem to lubricate very good. Went to Tractor Supply one time and got some of their County Line oil, and used to be a nice thick heavy bodied oil. It actually worked pretty good, and it was cheap. When I first started buying it, was about $8.99 a gallon, and like everything else, price has gone up. But when we're editing our videos, I noticed that when I'm doing hard cuts with a long bar saw, that I get a lot of smoke, and I thought, well, it's not the chainsaw smoking because the exhaust is coming out the side, but it's on the actual bar. And so in a hard cut in the mid temperature and higher, this stuff smokes pretty bad. And I thought, well, if it's smoking, it's probably not lubricating all that well, although I haven't noticed any really sharp uptick in wear in the bars. But this last jug I bought of it is a lot thinner, and so if there again, it's like the still oil and Husky oil, it just goes through it too quick, and like I say, it smokes in the warmer weather, hard cuts. And one other thing, it was kind of funny, I was shopping one time and I went down to Tractor Supply to get a few odds and ends, and got what I needed. And as I was walking out on the door, they had this that said $8.99 on it, and I didn't have any more cash, so I thought, I'll just go back the next day and get some. So I walked in the next day and I went over to grab some. Said on sale, $13.95. And so anyway, it was just at the start of the busy season for saws and power equipment, so they wanted to rob us all. And I went and talked to the manager, and so he finally begrudgingly let me buy 1 gallon for the old price. And it's like, don't come back. So anyway, so this stuff is out, and I'm going to try this. I was at an auto parts store and saw this there, and it was like $13.95 a gallon. And STP has been such a good standby for my power equipment over the years. I thought, well, I'll give it a try and see if it's any good or not. So once I start using it, I'll let you know. Well, the next thing I want to talk about is related to power equipment. Gasoline additive here, supposedly to prolong making it good. Stabil has been around forever, and I used it for many years and it worked fine. But over time I found that the gas got stale quicker and quicker, and the last number of times I used it didn't even work at all. So I did looking on some online videos and stuff, and a lot of power shops and stuff said the exact same thing, so it wasn't just me and saying, oh, this stuff's no good. So anyway, I did a bunch of research and actually saw a bunch of tests on this type of stuff, and almost all of them failed. Now this one, which is called PrI-G or PrI-G, it's made for the commercial market. So at the refineries, when they make big batches of gas and they ship it to an area, sometimes it sits for months before they can sell it, and so this is exactly the stuff that they use in it to keep it fresh. And the other thing that they claim is that if you put it in semi-stale gas, it'll rejuvenate it. And so I had about 3-year-old gas on my generator and didn't run really good on it. I put some of this in there and let it sit for a couple of days and fired it up. It ran perfect, so I'm going to say it works. Anyway, I'll be back with some more good junk here. Well, next we're going to talk about one man's junk as somebody else's better junk. So my oldest son went down to visit his buddy, and they just had a great big garage sale. And these were left over, they're kind of scrounge-o, and nobody would buy them. So, Mike is the guy's name, and he knows that our family are big junk collectors, so he said, hey, why don't you give these to your dad? So here they are. They're pretty ugly, but these can be fixed relatively easily. They don't generally require a lot of repairs. And so if you want a lamp, and you can pick one up for free or $5 or something like that, and you want a reliable light source when the power goes out, these are the answer. So, you know, the worst thing is that the lenses are broken like this one. Now this one is complete and this one is missing. That would be the most expensive thing you have to get to replace them. A globe like this is usually about 20 to 25 bucks. And other than that though, it's just mostly elbow grease and a few small parts to get them operational again. So once you've got them cleaned up, the fuel cap has a rubber gasket in it and those go bad over time. And if you go back and watch some of my older videos, you'll see how I replace them and whatnot, talk about servicing these things. But you know, $2 for a gasket. You probably need about a quarter can of carburetor cleaner or brake clean to clean the fuel lines and stuff in them. And you know, if you have rust on the outside, who cares? If there's none on the inside, that's what's important. So once you've got them cleaned up and everything is working on them, basically all you need to do is put gas in them and put a new set of mantles in them. And they have the pump here for pumping air into the fuel tank here. And the older ones have a leather seal on it, and over time they dry out. And so this has screws on it. You can take it out and pull this out. And this knob actually does two things. When you turn it when it's in, opens and closes the fuel valve inside the tank, so that fuel flows through the lamp here. And then has a pump for pumping up air too. So once you get it clean and the fuel's running through it and everything like that, and this getting that pump seal to work, and you know, like I say, it's leather. What I do is I take them out, soak them in carb cleaner overnight, get any varnish or stuff out of them, make them supple again, and use either Marvel Mystery Oil or some other 3-in-1 oil or like that to let it soak in. It'll be nice and supple again. It'll pump really fine. And so there again, if you have just the basics and you have a globe, you can get them back in operation for less than 10 bucks. And you know, a new one of these is $120 to still make them. So anyway, gotta be like me, thrifty or cheap, make stuff work. Okay, well, another thing Mr. Mike gave us is this 1966 Coleman 2-burner stove. It's in reasonably good condition. It's got a little bit of rust on it, but not too bad. It could be cleaned up. I haven't done anything to it other than just a minor service. Put the wind wings out here. So basically all I really had to do to this thing is I didn't even take the pump out to lubricate it, but I just squirted some oil down there, used some Marvel Mystery Oil, and started working just fine. Then on the fuel cap here, the little rubber seal in there goes bad over time, gets little cracks in it and whatnot, so I replaced that. Those are like $2, and then put some fuel in it and whatnot. So just to show you that how good these things are, we'll light this up in a second. But the seals on the fuel tank long term get brittle and hard, and so when I replace them, I put Balistol on them because it makes rubber supple again and stuff. And then the other thing people do is they over tighten these caps when they store them. It puts a big groove in them and stuff, and then they don't seal that good. So when you put them away, just give it a nice little short snug and just a teeny bit more. So we tighten the cap and pump the fuel tank up, and then turn this lever up to light it. And that lets more fuel in. So we'll open the valve here. Tough to beat that, ain't it? Instant light. And let it burn for a little bit, warm up the generator, and then it takes about 30 seconds to a minute to do that. And then this lever, you turn it down to burn, and eventually your flame will turn blue and be a whole lot better. So let's say if you want to, take, a lot of people use propane these days just because it's so easy. But the thing is that if you're out in the outback and you run out of propane, you can't run over to your local tree there and get any. You can run over to your car and get some gasoline. These run fine on gasoline. But the Coleman fuel doesn't have any additives in it, and so if you're using automotive gas, you want to be in a ventilated area because the additives they put in there are not good. But you can see right now there's a perfectly blue flame in less than a minute. Perfect to cook. So vintage is definitely best. And this, like I say, this was free. $2 for a gasket here. 50 cents worth of fuel, and a little bit of oil on the pump seal there, and here it is, ready to go. This thing can sit, as long as the tank is sealed good and put away. The Coleman fuel doesn't seem to deteriorate if it's sealed. I've used stuff that's been as old as 30 years old and worked fine. So, anyway, vintage is definitely best for me. It should be the best for you too. So we'll see you on the next exciting video.